Guys, I'm out here in my front garden with this beautiful daylily. This one is called Primal Scream. It's pretty common, but it is really nice. It's big, it's orange. I mean, these flowers are probably 7.5 inches or so in size. It's what you call a tetraploid daylily, which means it's got 4 sets of chromosomes on it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take this one and cross-pollinate it with another daylily. Let me show you that one. This one here is called Red Volunteer, and it is just gorgeous. It's another tetraploid, which again, 4 chromosomes. So if you are going to be hybridizing daylilies, you need to know that there are some that are diploid and some that are tetraploid. And so this one is one of those tetraploids, and the tetraploids will cross with tetraploids, but won't cross with the diploid. So you got to make sure that you're doing the right types of crosses to start from. Now, hybridizing a daylily is very easy. It does take some time, so I'm not going to be able to show you the whole process in one video. What we're going to do right now, though, is I'm going to show you the basic first steps to getting this to actually produce seed. So there's two parts of the flower that you have to pay attention to. This is the stigma. This is the part that you're going to put the pollen on. And these are the stamen. That's where the pollen is produced. And if you look really closely over here, you'll see this kind of dusty type of stuff. That is the pollen. So we're going to want to take the pollen from this and put it on the Primal Scream daylily. And when we do that, hopefully it will pollinate well and it will begin to produce seed. So to do this, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off one of these stamen here. And you can see here what it looks like. Now this ideally would be a little bit more open, but I think I can get the pollen out of that pretty okay. We'll just take it over to the other plant and see. And I do have several others that I could use for additional pollen if I need to. If you look at the pollen on this one here, on those stamens, it is really good. So we're going to take this one and cross it over there with the Red Volunteer as well. So we'll have a Primal Scream crossing with Red Volunteer and Red Volunteer crossing with Primal Scream. Now, are we going to get anything out of this? We won't know until it actually starts producing. So all you have to do is take this pollen and put it on the tip right there. Rub it in as much as you can. And because I actually have two other flowers also blooming at the same time, we'll see if we can get some of the pollen on that. I'm going to have to grab another one of those stamen to bring over here to this plant. Since I'm going back over there, let me grab one of these. Just like this, and bring it over to the Red Volunteer. Alright, so here's the pollen from Primal Scream going on to the Red Volunteer daylily. Alright, so I'm going to do this again on the same flower to make sure I get enough pollen on this plant here. I can actually see the yellow on the end of the stigma there, so it looks like it should have enough on it. I'm going to come over here to these other ones, do the same thing, and I've got a second one of these stamen that I can use if I didn't get enough pollen on it. Sometimes your flowers are not going to be opening up at the same time. You might have something that opens up early and then maybe a couple days later the next one opens. You can take the pollen and save it in the refrigerator. Just put it in a little glass jar or something and save it for a couple days and it should be okay. You can just reuse it as many times as you need to on different plants. So if you look over here, you see there's a lot more flowers to come. This one's probably going to open tomorrow and some that are going to open up in the days following that. So it's really important to make sure that you cross that you label the one that you crossed, because if you don't, it's going to be very easy to lose track of which one it was. So to make some cheap and easy labels for the daylily crosses, I just took some mini blinds and I cut them. I think these are probably about 2 inches long, and I took a hole puncher, punched a hole in them, and then I just wrote in pencil on here what the cross is. So whichever plant is the still in the ground plant that I'm rooting from, the Red Volunteer, this one will go on that one. Red Volunteer crossed with Primal Scream. And then when I'm over on the Primal Scream one that I crossed with the Red Volunteer, I do the opposite. So I've got 3 of those, one of this one, and I'm just going to tie them on with a little bit of string. So another thing that you might want to do is take off these stamen, just go ahead and remove them. What could potentially happen is a pollinator could come in here, bring some of that pollen over here, and then self-pollinate it off of this plant, which is not actually what we want. We want the Red Volunteer to be the one that is or not self-pollinating, but is pollinating this one here. They probably won't pollinate without the help of a pollinator of some kind, whether that be us or one of the little ants or one of the little bees that you've seen spinning around here. So hybridizing is very easy when it comes to daylilies, so it's a very good entry-level type plant to get started learning on how to do that. There's a lot of plants you can do this with. Some of the really teeny tiny flowers, you may not be able to do this with the stigma. You might have to collect the pollen and then brush it on. So there's varying different techniques that you can use for doing the hybrids. But with daylily, it's really simple, really easy, and it's really cool to see what the effects of those are. I did one several years ago. It was okay. It didn't really turn out wonderful, but I'm really excited to see what these are going to turn into. The next step is to take these flowers, wait for them to go to seed, and they'll form kind of a pod on the end of it that'll have little tiny black seeds in it. Once they've got that pod and it's dried out, you can take that and then sow it right away. It may take 2 to 3 years before you actually see a bloom from those, but go ahead and plant it right after they've formed, and then you can get that process started. And that's really all there is to it. It's a very simple process. It can be a lot of fun, and it's very exciting to see what the actual result of your process is going to be. So if this was interesting, helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on Growing the Home Garden. Thanks for watching.